Hi there, I'm Jessica Rose. Welcome to this video about my top tips for selling your jewellery on Etsy. So Etsy is a wonderful place to sell your jewellery. It's a marketplace that is already tailored towards people interested in handmade items. It's also all set up and ready for you, so there's not a lot you have to do to get up and running. However, as you may know, there are lots of jewellers on Etsy these days, so we need to find ways to stand out and also ways to build our brand on there so that we're directing lots of customers and getting our sales. Now, the first thing I'll say before I dive into the top tips is that it does take time to build an audience on Etsy, just like any other platform. I remember some jewellers who I've worked with, and myself as well at times, have just uploaded products onto Etsy and hoped for the best. This strategy doesn't really work, especially not anymore. So it's really important that we see it as a platform, but only the first step. And once we learn how to use Etsy in a good way, we need to give ourselves time and put in continued effort to be able to get regular sales on Etsy. So my first tip, which probably all of you will have heard before, but it's so important and so is worth repeating, is about having beautiful photography. So photographs are your number one marketing tool in your jewellery business, and especially when you're selling online. This is the way that I can engage with your jewellery, learn about it, and ultimately make the decision as to whether it's something I'd like to buy. So I'd encourage you to have 5 images of your work on each product listing. Try and show different angles, different contexts, and also include some lifestyle images so that I can see how your jewellery will fit in with my lifestyle. You want to have different crops. So when you have a look at listings on Etsy, often the ones that get the most engagements are really nicely cropped so that I can see straight away what it is. Obviously, when we're looking at listings on Etsy, it's going to be quite a small box, whether it's on our phone or our computer. So having a really nice close-up as your main image works really well. So I'd encourage you to try and use a nice crop close-up of your image for the first one. Then try some different angles and some different contexts. Again, a bit like the lifestyle imagery that we're talking about. Number 2, if you're procrastinating about setting up your Etsy shop or uploading your images, don't feel you're alone in this. This is probably one of the key challenges I find with jewellers that I work with, is that we just are not getting round to doing it. So it comes to scheduling time in our diaries. If you know that Etsy is a strategy you want to go down for your jewellery business, schedule in a day or two to work on that. Schedule in when you're going to have your products finished, when you're going to do your photography, and when you're going to upload your product descriptions. It is really worth biting the bullet with this one and just going for it. Remember, once your shop's uploaded, that is a brilliant first step. But it's not the end. That's when the marketing begins. You can absolutely have a successful jewellery business on Etsy, even now, even with lots of other jewellers in the marketplace. But it's about being proactive and reaching your audience, having a beautiful store and everything in place. Tip number 3 is to aim, if you can, for 100 products on your store. Now we know that Etsy favours shops that have more than 100 products. So even though that may sound like so much to some of you, and don't be put off by this, you can start with 1, 5, 10, but over the course of the year or the months coming up, try to aim to get up to that 100, because it really just helps. Not only does Etsy favour it, which might change because we never know how these platforms are going to adapt and change as they grow, but also you're physically going to have more URLs, so more website addresses. And the more of those you have, the more likely you are to show up online. So the more products you have, the more visible you're going to be. Tip number 4 is to pick a key social platform, your number 1 favourite social media platform, and do it really well. Point it to your Etsy store so that as soon as I go on there, I know that's your website. And whether it's Instagram, which is my favourite, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Whatever, try and put content out daily if you can, if not at least every other day. This is how we build community, build engagement, and can send people to our Etsy store. Number 5 is to invest in advertising. So it's not really enough anymore to just rely on natural organic traffic. It's important that we do some advertising for our Etsy store. One option is to flick the switch in your Etsy store to allow you to be featured on Google Shopping. Now this is great because Google Shopping is such a big platform. Whenever we're looking for products online, people will often click on Google Shopping and have a look at what products are available. Your product will be listed through Etsy if you pay for some advertising under that. You can keep your budget small and experiment with it, see if you get any results, and if not, adapt, change, and try a different method. Another paid advertising option is Facebook, which is very popular at the moment. Again, set your budget low, test different audiences, and try out different things to see what works for you. Number 6 is to have well-written product descriptions. So it's important that we fill out all of the information that Etsy allows us to provide. Use your brand's tone of voice. Be informative. So include everything that you need to have. If you're selling a chain, a necklace that has gemstones on, for example, you want to say whether it's silver or gold, gold-filled. Explain what gold-filled is if your customers are interested in that and it's something that you're selling. You also want to list all the different gemstones that you have on offer, the length of the chain, any variations on this piece if they want to make custom orders. So include all that information, but also remember to keep it in your brand's tone of voice so it's not just dry information, but actually something that I can engage with. Top tip number 7 is to write a blog that relates to your Etsy store. Now, within Etsy, it's not our own website, so there's only so many places we can add content. And where we add content online are all different opportunities for people to be able to find us. So a blog is an excellent addition to your Etsy store, which is something that you control on your own and can direct people to your Etsy store with links. There are lots of really simple, easy ways to set up your own blog through WordPress and other platforms online. Writing there regularly, whether it be every week or every month, some useful content for your customers, something that's going to help them engage with your jewellery, with direct links to specific products in your store, is a great way to start driving traffic. Over time, you will start to see it build, and if you do decide to switch over to a website at some point, you still have the blog which you can integrate into that. Number 8 is to keep track of Etsy SEO trends. So Etsy changes how it works from time to time, like any other online platform. But some of the SEO trends that work quite well at the moment are posting regularly. So every time you relist your item, you go to the top of the list. So I know some jewelers that will list every day, and that way you pay the 20 cents charge, but it's a marketing charge that you go to the top of the list, more people are more likely to see you. So that is one tactic that you could experiment with. Another is to make sure that you include keywords in your titles. So when I go onto Etsy as a consumer, I'm going to type in things that I'm looking for. I might type in rose quartz necklace. You want to make sure that you've used those keywords in your title so that I can find you. Don't be afraid to make your titles as long as possible. Use up all of the characters, and it's not about being short and quirky. It's about including keywords and making sure that I can find you, as well as describing what it is that you're actually selling. You also want to make sure that you fill out the tags section in each product description. So you can add a bunch of tags to each product which describe what your product is about. Try to match your tags to the keywords in your titles. This really helps with Etsy SEO if you have matching titles and tags and they're all relevant for what you're selling. Your customer is much more likely to find you. Finally, fill out the full information on Etsy. Include the section on materials, include as many materials as are in your piece so that everything is covered, because some people may be searching by material or searching by different criteria. So we want to have all of our bases covered. Tip number 9 is you will need to work hard at driving traffic. It's really important to know this from the outset so we don't just post and go, but we need to drive the traffic to our Etsy store. Social media is a really good place for this, which we've already talked about. Email marketing is another key way to be able to drive traffic to your website. I would treat Etsy like your website if you're using this method of selling. Direct everything to there, put it on your business cards, put it everywhere. That way, anyone that's interested in your jewellery knows exactly where to go. My final tip for this video is to engage with other Etsy sellers. This is a really nice way to build community, to understand how the platform works. And there are so many different ways to do this. You can like other Etsy sellers' shops, and of course, in turn, they may be interested in liking you back. Now, likes are important because, again, it pushes you higher up the algorithms in Etsy and you're more likely to be shown to customers. Also, when customers come and visit your shop, they'll see you've got lots of likes, which is another form of social proof. There are also lots of Facebook groups for Etsy sellers. There are local Etsy marketplace events that you can take part in. So do get involved in the Etsy community. It is a lovely collaborative community and there's so much that you can learn and share through that platform. So if you're just starting your Etsy shop or going to grow it, then good luck. I wish you all the best and I look forward to seeing your products on there. Also, I'd love to connect with you on social media. Come and find us at Jewellers Academy on Instagram and all the other platforms. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day and look forward to seeing you on another video soon. Alrighty, bye for now.